Good evening, everyone. I'm Mary Stewart. I'm a Service Manager with the Planning and Environment Service within Aberdeenshire. Welcome to the third in a series of 3 webinars, which have come under the banner of Easing Lockdown Business Support. And this is specifically aimed at assisting your businesses to reopen as lockdown eases in line with the government's phasing. By way of background, we have established a cross-service strategic group to enable businesses wishing to reopen following lockdown within Aberdeenshire to seek assistance and find relevant information on any requirements to reopen and/or adapt their business operations. The aim is to give you the ability to direct all inquiries to one space and to receive a one council response to assist you moving forward. There is a dedicated inbox to forward your inquiries and a dedicated webpage with a variety of relevant information. And these details should be available on a slide in front of you and during various parts of the presentations tonight. The group consists of all the necessary services, including economic development, licensing, environmental health and trading standards, planning, building standards, transportation, roads and landscape, and a representative from legal services and area manager input. The aim is for the group to deal with inquiries strategically, making the process of reopening as streamlined as possible and to help reduce timescales on any necessary decision-making processes that should be required. We very much appreciate the difficult and challenging times that you find yourselves in, and hopefully we can assist in some way to making the process, at least in some way, less stressful for you. So in tonight's webinar, it features presentations from Alistair Reid from Aberdeenshire Council's Economic Development Team, and he will be talking about business support and funding. Following Alistair will be Candace Elson from the Libraries Innovation Network Aberdeenshire, or LINA, and she will be talking about the support available for new and existing businesses. And finally, we would have Lorraine Thompson from Interface, and Lorraine will be outlining examples of and advising on help to diversify. We also have others as part of our panel who will be on hand to answer any questions you may have. And I will hand you over to Alistair Reid to take you through business support and funding information. I'll hand over to you, Alistair. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Mary. Hello and very good evening, everyone. Clearly, trading environment has been affected in a way few thought possible. Just in a few short months, we're in a different world. Previously, business contingency plans typically covered physical events or cyber attacks which may impact a business. Business and communities will have to prepare for a new normal, which is difficult considering ongoing uncertainties, and indeed the fact that some sectors will be able to recover sooner than others. Both the UK and Scottish governments have therefore come forward with unprecedented levels of support for business and sector-specific support to help deal with the impact of the virus. Some of the funding schemes are administered by Aberdeenshire Council, and as such the criteria for eligibility aren't ours. They've been determined by others. Some of the schemes are fairly binary in nature. You either qualify or you don't, and we don't really have an awful lot of wiggle room. However, the aim of the grants has always been to keep small and medium-sized companies in business and maintain productive capacity so that they can recover. Economic recovery is absolutely vital to all of the services work. Schemes have been tweaked and additional ones added over the last few weeks, so at times it is actually quite unclear as to what help is available. Indeed, we're still coming across a number of businesses which haven't applied for funding, which they are eligible for. So with this in mind, I thought it would be useful to give a brief overview of the main sources of funding, especially as some of the funds are due to close in coming weeks. There's an infographic there which I appreciate isn't desperately easy to see. It's taken from it's taken from our website, and it's designed to be displayed on the website, but there will be links to that infographic provided later on, and as I say, it's on the website so you can have a look at it. I'm not going to speak about all the funds because there are quite a few there, but I'd just like to highlight some of the more popular ones and the ones which are which we've seen most applications to. We'll start off with talking about the ones which are based on the commercial rateable value of premises. And there's a small business grant of £10,000 which is available for ratepayers of properties with a rateable value of £18,000 or less as of 17th of March. And the businesses can either be in receipt of small business bonus scheme, rural relief, or eligible for the small business bonus scheme, but in receipt of either nursery relief, disabled relief, fresh start relief, and business growth accelerator. Conscious I'm going through here at a fair old tick, so don't worry, there'll be links to the details on the website again. The retail and hospitality support grant, retail and hospitality and leisure grant for businesses that are in these sectors, again based on rateable value, and that's for rateable value between £18,000 and £1 and £51,000. Again, that's of 17th of March, and they're available when the rate that they are available to premises occupied by the ratepayer. There's been some extension to these grant schemes from 5th of May. Eligibility to the Small Business Support Grant Scheme has been extended to include ratepayers with multiple properties, again in the retail, hospitality and leisure sectors, with individual rateable values under 18,000, but with a cumulative rateable value of between 35,000 and 51,000. Small sports clubs are also eligible now, and charities that are also eligible for small business bonus scheme, but in receipt of charitable rates relief. Small properties in enterprise areas, not so much of a case for us, but anyone listening from outside the area, they are eligible as well. Ratepayers with multiple business properties which meet the criteria for a small business support grant are eligible for a 10k grant for one property and may be eligible for additional grants for each subsequent qualifying property. Ratepayers with multiple properties, which again meet the criteria for retail, hospitality and leisure, are eligible for a 25k grant for one property and again may be eligible for additional grants for each subsequent property. From 8th of June, the support grants have been extended further, extending the eligibility of current small business in retail, hospitality and leisure to businesses that occupy multiple premises with a cumulative rateable value of up to £500,000. The scheme have also been extended to businesses occupying premises where they are not the ratepayer, and this grant would typically be available to businesses who share office space or industrial units and the like, and that's where the landlord pays the business rates. Again, there are some qualifying criteria for that you need to meet. It's quite important to note for this one, for all the above schemes, the grant application close date is the 10th of July, so we've got a few weeks to go yet, but we're still coming across businesses who possibly haven't applied for a variety of reasons, so applications for these are via our own website. In addition to all above, businesses in hospitality, retail, leisure and nursery are receiving 100% rates relief for 2021. A new fund has just opened last week particularly for bed and breakfast and small serviced accommodation. This is a hardship grant relief of £3,000 to anyone bed and breakfast, small serviced accommodation. So it's aimed specifically at providing support to businesses. These particular businesses have missed out on previous support because of their banking status. Previous support, businesses had to be traded from a business bank account. The bed and breakfast fund is available for small business bed and breakfast and serviced accommodation that are operating from joint personal or joint or personal bank accounts. Again, no closure date for this scheme has been announced yet, but the indication is that the fund will close on 10th of July. This has been administered by ourselves, and details of how to apply are on our website. A few months ago, we'd never heard the word furlough, but now we're fairly familiar with it. So businesses employing staff the Job Retention Scheme offers 80% of wages, capped at £2,500 per month, plus any employer national insurance and pension contributions for staff that are furloughed before the 10th of June. Employers can make up the balance of the 20%, but there's no obligation, there's no requirement for them to do that. It's important to note there are cut-off dates for claiming for previous periods, so keep an eye on that just to make sure you don't miss out on the appropriate dates. With ease of lockdown in mind, from 1st of July, businesses can bring back furloughed staff on a part-time basis, and from August, businesses will be expected to contribute more or contribute to the furlough scheme. For the self-employed, if you submitted a tax return for 2018-19, a grant of 80% of average monthly earnings capped at £2,500 is available via the Self-Employed Income Support Scheme. If you're eligible and your business has been adversely affected, you must make the first claim for that on or before 30th of July. The scheme has been extended, so if you can be eligible for a second and final grant if your business has been adversely affected once again, but the date for this is after 14th of July, and you can make a claim in August. You can claim for the second grant even if you didn't make a claim for the first one. Again, HMRC is the agency to contact, as is the case with the furlough scheme. For anyone who became self-employed after 6th of April 2019, you can apply to another fund, the newly employed Self-Employed Hardship Fund. It provides a grant of £2,000. No closure date for this one again, but the expectation is that this fund will close on 10th of July. Again, we're administering the fund, so details of how to apply on the website. Although unprecedented support is available, some businesses don't qualify for all the schemes that I've mentioned. If this is the case, it's certainly worth considering Bounce Back Loan Scheme or the Business Interruption Loan Schemes. These loans, clearly loans as opposed to grants, but the terms are favourable, and in the case of the Bounce Back Loan Scheme are 100% guaranteed by the government and 80% for the Business Interruption Loan Scheme. There's also various other support covering other sectors, including creative, third sector and seafood. Links to these are on our website. A bit closer to home, Aberdeenshire Council has repurposed some of its existing funds. The Phoenix Fund, which some of you will be well aware of, is a new grant fund allocating a set amount to town centre groups, such as traders or business associations, business improvement districts or community councils. And the aim of this is to deliver partnership activities to support town centre retail, town centre revival, not just retail. The grants are available up to £10,000 for the 13 key town centres in Aberdeenshire, with 5,000 available to 9 of the smaller towns. The Business Resilience and Support Fund will be launched shortly, and this scheme focuses on a few core aspirations, and it's quite relevant to tonight's later speakers. The aspirations are to enable viable businesses to invest in diversification products for new products and or markets. It will also help businesses respond to public expectations around climate change and net zero. Growing importance for us all, and certainly the green build of the economy, as we hear so much of, is going to be vital to us moving forward. The scheme is there to help build digital resilience and ensure that businesses have the necessary platform and skills. The scheme also enables businesses to secure accreditations that will improve their market position and access to new markets. An example of that is the SALSA accreditation for food and drink producers. The scheme will also support digital and/or net zero audits to help companies access other grant funds and plan their own investments. We've had some good news just in the last couple of weeks, in that we've been awarded, Aberdeenshire Council has been awarded the European Social Fund Phase 2 funding to help our work with the employability team. And that's certainly aimed to help cope with the expected demand that will result from the current situation. The other element of our funding is a wage subsidy scheme, and we'll be offering employers a wage subsidy for employing a new member of staff. We're still waiting final Scottish Government sign-off for this, but we'll keep you posted on the launch date. So that's very much a whistle-stop tour of some of the support available, and I completely accept it's a bit of a minefield to get your way to the sources of help that is there. But I must stress that the support isn't just about financial support. There's other support available, not belittling the financial support by any means, but within economic development, we have a team of business development executives who can help guide you through reopening and rebuilding your business. We've also got staff working in the towns teams, and of course we work hand in hand with our colleagues and other services that are heavily involved with getting businesses reopened, including environmental health, trade and standards, licensing and development management. We shouldn't of course forget business gateway advisors who are also there to assist. Our contract to deliver Business Gateway has been refocused to support organisations that are facing difficulties just now, and all their workshops are now available online. Various other partners and organisations are also offering online support. Locally, these include Visit Aberdeenshire, Opportunity North East, Aberdeen and Grampian Chamber of Commerce, and the Federation of Small Businesses, and indeed our later speakers. I suppose the final comment I would like to stress is that you guys out there, you're not alone in this, and we're very much here to help you. So please get in contact. Mari, I'll hand back to you.
Well, we're now going to go on to Candace Elson from LINA, and she will be talking about the support available for new and existing businesses. So Candace, I'll hand over to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mari. So hi everyone, my name is Candace Elson and I'm the Programme Coordinator for the Libraries Innovation Network Aberdeenshire Programme, which you may know as LINA. Now, not everyone watching this webinar will be familiar with LINA, so I thought it might be best just to give a bit of information and background on the project and then discuss how it's supporting businesses who are looking to adapt or change in the light of COVID-19 restrictions easing. So firstly, LINA is a collaboration between Robert Gordy University's Entrepreneurship and Innovation Group and Aberdeenshire Council's Library Service. And the programme is supported by funding from LEADER through NALAG, which means at the moment LINA operates in North Aberdeenshire. However, we are looking to realign our coverage with future funding to support more areas in Aberdeenshire. If anybody who lives out with these locations does feel that LINA is interesting or could help them, please feel free to get in touch with us so we can take note of the interest in other parts of Aberdeenshire. So LINA is essentially a support programme for local business owners, startups and also those who are thinking about starting their own business. And it's really been created to support and promote business growth and enterprise in North Aberdeenshire by engaging with local communities and highlighting the facilities available for businesses in local libraries. Before COVID-19, the LINA team operated from libraries across Aberdeenshire, including Banff, Macduff, Peterhead, Turriff, Stricken, and even some of the smaller libraries, the satellite libraries such as Newport, Sligo, and some of the other wee ones like Kieranbulg was the next plan, and a few other smaller ones around the northeast. Both Banff and Peterhead libraries were partly refurbished to highlight and showcase the co-working spaces that we'd come up with. And these are essentially spaces where you can either use the PCs or the Wi-Fi or your own device, and also hold discussions with others in the community about business and kind of exchange ideas. We also had 3D printers as well for people who wanted to trial out products. They could actually print out 3D versions and models when they're looking at adapting or introducing a new product to market. So there was lots of resources at that time. Macduff and Fraserburgh were also due to have these changes implemented, but unfortunately, as with everyone, COVID-19 stopped us in our tracks. So along with the co-working spaces, we also delivered Robert Gordon University workshops for businesses. And these free workshops were really designed to help new and current and future business owners really think deeply and carefully about how their business operates. Now, COVID-19 has prevented us from delivering these workshops in these library spaces. So what we've done is we've reformatted the one-day workshop into a free online course, which is now available online. The course is especially helpful for businesses at the moment who plan to reopen because the way we do business or have been doing business for so long could potentially be completely changed. So the content on the course will really help you look at ways in which you can adapt your business for the type of new models going forward. So if you yourself have a business or you're looking to own a business and change the way you operate, the course can really help you consider the following things. So how to deliver products and services in new ways. Are there new avenues that you could look at? Are there new ways? Is it online, or is it different types of uses in shops or different types of suppliers? But also how to target the right customers or potentially new customers. A lot of businesses might find that their usual customer maybe doesn't have that money to spend in their business. So is it maybe a case of looking at business to business customers or a completely different market that might have a need for your service or your product? The other part of the course looks at how to satisfy customer needs with the product or services that you're offering, and that's an important one, especially when there is a lot of competition. We want to make sure that our customers are happy with what we're providing. The programme and the tools also help you identify gaps, but also opportunities that you can find for your business where you can increase income, but also lower expenditure, or even find other avenues or channels to sell your product or service. But we don't just do workshops, and we actually have a lot of other resources available. So within the LINA team, we've got great connections with other local support systems, such as Council's Economic Development Team, Towns teams, Business Gateway Elevator, Opportunity North East, Aberdeen Chamber of Commerce, all of these sorts of groups of people we are in touch with. So for instance, if you need funding, like we've been speaking about today, we can put you in contact with the right people. But also if you've got any other related queries, such as how to set up a website or how to use Facebook for marketing, etc., we can also put you in touch with the right agencies, the right support networks that can help you with that particular task. And of course, if you have any questions about business planning or innovation or anything related to those sorts of queries, we are more than happy to help you. Entrepreneurship and Innovation Group, which is the group that LINA sits in at Robert Gordon University, also has so many different connections regionally and nationally across the UK to support with business. They also have a mentor pool, which sometimes we use for some of our LINA participants and clients, which means that we really are opening up as much as we can in way of support from a wider sort of location and region. So if LINA is something for you, or you fancy taking a look, or you'd like some more information, please feel free to go onto our website. You can find our website at www.rgu.ac.uk/LINA. You can also get in touch via email. We are on Facebook and Twitter as well, and Live Life Aberdeenshire has several pages about LINA and how it operated and how it still operates within that library structure as well. So hopefully that's given you a little bit of an overview about LINA. But as I said, if you've got any questions or you want to know anything more at all, please feel free to get in touch. And I will hand back to Mary.
Great, thank you, Candace. An interesting and informative presentation there. Now, next we have Lorraine Thompson from Interface, and she will be outlining examples of and advising on help to diversify businesses. Over to you, Lorraine. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Mary. My name is Lorraine Thompson, and I work with Interface, and I'll just head into the slideshow now and try and explain a bit more about what we do and some examples of maybe where we can help. Yeah, so as I say, thank you very much for the invite, and my role is a manager for the North within Interface, business engagement in relation to working with companies. And what I'm going to do today is talk about what Interface actually does, but also talk about the funding options that we administer. And our role is completely to do with matching businesses, organisations and individuals with any of Scotland's 19 universities. Also, increasingly, we match up with colleges as well. Interface's role then is really to open up the possibility of what's on offer from Scotland's universities. And I would imagine it's probably never occurred to many of you that they could work with small businesses, but they very much do. They're not just there for their teaching and research, but they're very keen on applied research. They're very keen on looking into ideas or challenges that companies might have, trying to research a solution and come up with something that's actually quite practical to implement. You've maybe got a long-standing idea from way before COVID, or maybe something that's more relevant, more important now, and and you just need some expertise. You need an extra pair of hands. And Interface's job is to try and find you that right expertise. So if you sort of stand back and consider all the subjects that are taught in university, all the different disciplines that go on there, from engineering to science, to food science, to tourism, history, marketing, whatever that knowledge is, then our job at Interface is to try and tap into that knowledge for you. So Interface then is not a new concept. We've been on the go now for 15 years and actually have our 15th anniversary in August. So over that time, as this slide will show you, we've worked with a good number of businesses, and maybe the key thing from the slide to highlight is the fact that the geographical spread is pretty good. So we've worked from north to south, east to west, helping companies create projects, work with universities on a wide variety of projects. So we're based throughout Scotland, and our job is to really reach out to businesses as best we can to promote that university offering. Also, I'd highlight the figure there of 83%. 83% of businesses who have done a project with the university come away and say that it has had a good benefit to their business. It's not just a sort of nice to do, it's actually been really helpful to running the business. Also, the figure there of 92%, that's the sort of success rate we've had when we have taken a project to university in relation to their interest to actually take that up. So the bulk of ideas that we take forward, we do get interest to work with that company. So really, we're a matchmaker. We can't guarantee that we'll always get somebody willing to take on a project with you, but we'd like to think there's somebody out there for everybody. So the service itself is quite straightforward in terms of how it operates. Really, we're trying to make everything as straightforward as possible. The idea of probably knocking on a door of a university is quite a daunting prospect, and we're here to enable that to happen in a much more straightforward way. So if you have an idea, whether it's way before the situation we're in now or something that's particularly relevant now, it might not be fully fledged, it might not be fully thought through yet. So the first thing that we do is we work with you to capture your thoughts on paper. We chat it through, we collect all the information, and we try to really pin down exactly what it is that you want. What's the output you want from getting a piece of work done. So we try and put that into a project form so that effectively the university can then consider what it is that you're asking. So we're really trying to, I suppose, sell your project to the university on your behalf. The next stage then, once we've pinned down what it is you might want, we search around all 19 universities to offer them the project. We're a kind of one-stop shop, I suppose. So often your local university may be the one that sees merit in working with you on something, or it could be somewhere further afield. So geography really is no barrier. And as the earlier map showed you, then we can help businesses in rural Aberdeenshire work with universities, say in Edinburgh, Glasgow, wherever. There's no issue in relation to which university might take on a piece of work, because it's physically distance anyway. The desk research often is what happens. That can be done quite easily wherever the university might be, once they've got their hands on the project scope, once they know what it is that you want. So once we find a partner, the next stage is to really put the two parties in touch with each other. Then detailed discussions can happen, and then we talk about things like funding and actually trying to seal the deal. But I'll come to that in a minute. So really then, what kind of areas am I talking about? Where is it that universities could try and help you? So what I'm going to just do now is just kind of throw in a few real examples of where we've had projects come our way. But I would just say that often the best thing is to chat to us, because once we have a conversation, once we get an idea of what it is you might want, then we can get a better feel for whether we think we could find a university for you. But anyway, I'll throw a few in just now. We worked with Grey Hope Bay to bring a pop-up shop and exhibition to the Bonaccord Shopping Centre 3 years ago. They were very keen to bring their centre to life within within the shopping centre, so to speak. There, for that, we got students from Gray's School of Art and School of Architecture at Robert Gordon University for the length of time that that pop-up shop and exhibition was there. And it was a nice project. And in the time that they managed to have a presence in the shopping centre, they managed to raise £10,000 for the Marine Centre. So that was a really nice student project, and one that was very localised. We had a jewellery maker in the Highlands, very keen to take her shop outdoors effectively. She wanted an exhibition stand for her jewellery that was portable and secure and could be used, as I say, outside. So again, that kind of thing perhaps is more relevant now, but she wanted something that was a unique design that really showcased her jewellery in a very different way. So again, a project that we took on board, we were able to take to university without any real problem. A bar owner, very keen to develop a Scottish gin to give himself a unique selling point for when selling his Scottish gin. Again, just something to get promotion, get publicity, and get people actually into the bar. So again, that was a nice project that we took forward. We've had many visitor attractions come to us, very keen to develop virtual or augmented reality, which is really big just now. So they wanted some form of virtual reality within the museums and their attractions and so on, but also to use on the website and also to try and encourage visitors before they actually went to visit in person. So the whole idea of sort of AR, VR is quite big actually, and again quite relevant I think in the current times when attractions are not maybe sure about fully opening and certainly not sure about footfall. So having something virtual to represent some of their stories, some of their areas of interest is really quite a big one for us to be working with. Another jewellery maker came to us keen to have an AR, augmented or virtual reality video of the jewellery making process. They used to allow people into the workrooms to kind of watch the jewellery being made, but they found that it was a bit of a laborious process to be able to sort of make exciting. But they wanted really to emphasise the uniqueness of the piece of jewellery that they made. So again, they wanted to work with the university to get a kind of quick, fast video of the process, but to make it much more interesting, but to really sell the fact that every piece is really unique. We did a webinar last week for cafes. Cafes keen perhaps to think about doing takeaway food, which is a big thing obviously just now through this crisis. The webinar that we did had a lecturer from SRUC, Scotland's Rural College, who was really very helpful in relation to how to scale up the kind of food you might have done in the cafe to try and make it now on a takeaway basis. So as he would say, you know, how to go from 5 steak pies to 50 to 500 to be able to actually make that on a takeaway basis. You know, how to scale up, and very importantly, how to price it. You know, how to be sure that if you do go into takeaway food, perhaps for the first time, that you do make money from that. And also, quite importantly, all the kind of HACCP rules as well, the health and safety rules, which cafes have to go through anyway, but how that would need to be adapted to do takeaway food. But that particular session we have on recording. If anybody would like to hear that, then that's something we can send afterwards. But a useful 40-minute session on how to go into developing takeaway food over these times, and maybe to continue doing it. I think that's the other thing. Some people have started something just now that they might carry on well after the kind of COVID crisis is finished. Also better use of space and buildings. Obviously within a university we've got architecture experience, we've got engineering. Sometimes people come to us because they have got a disused space or a piece of area they want to use quite differently, and they've got some ideas but haven't kind of fully thought that through. So again, we can tap into architecture departments, engineering departments, if that's required. We recently advertised Adopt a Business for tourism businesses throughout Scotland. That was quite a nice idea. We had some interest from Aberdeen and Aberdeenshire, but that was for an academic or a student to effectively take on a tourism business for a short time to try and help them with recovery. And by that I mean things like improving their websites, how to go about attracting new markets, how to focus on staycations if it's likely that international tourism is going to be pretty low this year, just really how to adapt in these kind of circumstances. So that was quite a nice initiative. We've probably reached the limit now for the takers for that, but we're thinking of trying to open that up for other sectors and other businesses. So again, we can always let you know if that happens as well. But certainly, somebody to actually help on a very practical basis to try and get you through some of the issues just now. Also, business schools. Many universities have business schools, and they are very keen at the moment to help with anyone wanting to rework business plans, to rethink about the kind of culture of your organisation and how you want to go about things. So again, that's something that's certainly of interest if it's something that you might want some help in. What's important to your customers, how perhaps can you present yourself differently to people because you've wanted to kind of come out of this in a sort of different format, a different basis, a different setting. So basically then, universities have got experience in retail as well. We've got retail specialists, we've got planning specialists, economists and all these kind of people. Again, if there's some kind of help you might want, then please do think of getting in touch with us, because our role is to try and find something there for you. So in terms of funding then, the matchmaking that we do, the Finding University, is obviously completely free. That's a service that we offer, as you've seen, through the whole of Scotland. But then for a university to undertake the work, there can be a cost of that. Students, though, is often a no-cost option. Students undertaking a project, very much, they want to do it, it's useful for their studies, and they want the industry experience. So there usually is no cost or very minimal cost for a student project. So that's another kind of bonus if you do get something matched up there. But for an academic to work with you on the project, then there would be some costs. But we administer these funds, which are really designed to try and offset the costs and not cause any issues. We administer these various funds there on behalf of the Scottish Funding Council. Applications go to them to decide if criteria is met, but we very much try and help sort of shape that application that goes in. The innovation voucher then is quite a typical one. Probably about a third of the projects that we work on actually succeed in getting this form of funding. For that, there would need to be a new product or process or service coming out of the project that you come up with. The funds go to the university, but there's no cost to you at all for that particular pot of money. But it is quite effective, and quite a lot of projects do succeed in tapping into that. Defining a new product, again, that's something university can help with, but it's certainly been a form of funding that we've used for some of these earlier examples I've given you already. So it is quite a successful route to go down. A workforce innovation voucher is a new thing for us, but again, no cost to the company, but this is trying to upskill your staff, trying to get the workforce to be innovative in delivering whatever it is that you deliver. So there's funds towards that side as well. A student voucher, that is where you've had one of the earlier vouchers, the innovation of the workforce one, but actually have a student then working in your premises to actually embed that project and make it deliver it effectively and get that out there. The advanced innovation voucher, this one does require cash, but that really is for a much bigger project that can go on and have much bigger impact. It may be a follow-on from one of the earlier ones, or it might be something completely different. So there are bigger pots of money for something there that might grow into a much bigger project. There's also other funds. There's often funding calls. There's often pots of money out there from various organisations. So again, our role is to keep on top of that. Our role is to be really au fait with all the funding that's available, so that we can try and direct you in the right place. So as I say, very often these collaborations, they don't actually cost a company money, because students would do it for no cost, or we'll try and find a bit of money to see it through. So again, as flagged up a wee bit earlier there, business benefits from doing this. We survey all the businesses that had a project with us through the years, 6 months after the project's actually finished. And these are the sort of samples of the business benefits that come back. So projects really do help very important aspects of the business. The university input can really make quite a difference in so many different aspects. Finally then, here's our contact details for any more help. in relation to any of the things that I've covered today or anything else that might come to mind. My colleague Gillian Hambley specifically covers Aberdeen and Shire, and her details are there. So you're very welcome to get in touch with her directly, or just to the general email address there to get in touch with me or anybody else in the team. But certainly it's quite surprising what universities can offer, and it's really my role just to flag up there that it's well worth thinking about. If there's something you want to do, you really haven't thought of perhaps going down this route, then why not give it a try?
Thank you, Lorraine, for that informative presentation. And I will now pass you over to Alistair Rind of Economic Development, who will give information to you about the Phoenix Fund. Thank you, Alistair.
One of the instruments that we launched at the end of May in response to the crisis was a package of support for our town centres and really for collaborative projects between businesses in 26 of our key town centres across Aberdeenshire. So we called it the Phoenix Fund, which was a sort of symbolic title at the time, and really what the fund aims to do is to support one project in each of the 26 towns. So 13 of those towns, so the larger towns, qualify for up to £10,000 worth of funding for a single collaborative project, and 13 smaller town centres will get £5,000 each for the equivalent activity. So really the plan is to enable those town centres and the businesses and service providers and stakeholders within each of those town centres to develop a project or a series of activities that support the reboot or the relaunch of the town centre economies, which clearly have suffered substantially over the last 3 months or so. We're seeing collaborations coming forward from community councils, from business groups, business associations and business networks, Rotary clubs, where they exist in the towns. We're seeing individual businesses coming forward to spearhead activities on behalf of the wider town centre economy. So some really good stuff, and an ability for us to really facilitate and enable some activity in our main economic areas, but giving the power and the ideas to local stakeholders to decide how best to use that money to support their town centre. So the closing date is actually tomorrow. Tomorrow we've asked those 26 town centres to come forward and tell us whether they want to do anything. Pleased to say that all 26 town centres have thrown their hat into the ring to do a project, so that's fantastic. We'll be asking them to do a really short application form, which will be due in sometime between July and September to run the project in their town centre. So really exciting, quite innovative, different to a number of town centre schemes, and really they're designed to support collaborations and business groups in those town centres. So hopefully some of you might have heard of it. Hopefully some of you will be involved in projects in your towns. But yeah, I'm happy to take any questions on that, Alistair.
Thank you, Alistair. I do have some questions, and so I'm going to go straight to those, if that's okay. Right. The first question that we have is from somebody who indicates that they would like to adapt and change the business to create more space at the entrance to ensure safe entry to the premises and to create additional space for physical distancing practices. Are there any funding opportunities available, and would the Brass Fund cover this? Possibly one for Alistair.
Yep. Thanks, Mary. It's a question we're being asked, not just about this kind of thing, but for PPE and screens and things like that. Typically the council funding doesn't cover funding for kind of anything you've got to do through legislation. So the brass scheme wouldn't cover that. But certainly I know some of the, going back to Phoenix Fund, some of the town centre associations and business associations are almost working collaboratively to come out to get round the PPE and almost making your premises as COVID ready as you can. It's something we're lobbying hard through the various channels, because it is a question we're being asked a lot, and it's it could well be the difference between businesses opening or deciding to keep their doors shut. So watch the space. I can't promise you anything, but we're certainly doing our best to identify some of the money which has probably been, there's possibly been an underspend in some of the other budgets, and certainly as a local authority we're feeding into with the other local authorities across the country feedback we're getting from businesses, and that goes through to central government, and we can bang the drum certainly, and that's one of the big ones we're being we've suggested that. So again, if there is any movement on that, we'd be certainly one of the early ones to be shouting from the rooftops, and we'll certainly keep you posted if that happens.
That's great. Thanks for that, Alistair. Thank you. Right, on to the next question, and this is from someone who indicates, probably that might resonate with many of you, that it can be confusing for businesses to know who to talk to. How do you work with other business support agencies, and will you help signpost to the right option?
Mary, will I take that one again?
If you could please, Alistair. Yes, thank you.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, I think that's a fair point, because there are you just need to look at the number of webinars that are out there just now. You could spend your every minute of the day listening to someone, but certainly we're very conscious of the role that our partners can play, be it some of the organisations I mentioned earlier. Sometimes we fully accept it, that we are not the best people to advise you, or you could be buddied up with somebody else. So we work pretty closely with all the main other partners in the area. Business Gateway has a big role to play there, because they are the national business support network, and as I indicated earlier on, their contract has been refocused completely, where it was very much about target driven to help businesses start and the businesses grow. They're very much gone into supporting you survive, and let's face it, that's what many people are concerned with first of all, but certainly we work closely with FSB, do great work, fantastic legal support there. We work closely with the further education universities and colleges locally. Chamber of Commerce, Opportunity North East have got a big role to play. Cairngorm National Park, we've got a very close relationship as well, just to make sure we're consistent in the messaging that's going out to businesses about the support that they can get and where the help is available. But we're more than happy to pass you to the right person. We're certainly not going to claim we know absolutely everything. Back to you, Mary.
Thank you, Alistair. Thank you for that detailed response. Hopefully that's helped that particular person who's answered that question. Okay, there's one here with regards to digital methods. Obviously, we're all using more digital methods in the last few weeks. So do we think that digital methods that we have had to adopt are here to stay, and how can we maximise other digital opportunities? Not too sure who wants to step up to answer that one.
Shall I take that one again, or at least make a start on it? I'm certainly no expert on digital. It's quite a niche area, but certainly say that many businesses have had to rethink how their route to their customer, and be that a retail business or a cafe or a restaurant or something like that, that were dependent or maybe not solely dependent, but certainly a large percentage of their takings came from businesses, from customers visiting their business. Now, they've had to rethink their methods overnight, and they're doing takeaway. They've got an app now that you can order online a food, and you're given a time slot to go in and pick up your food in a safe manner, which keeps everybody safe. It keeps the staff safe, and it keeps the customers safe as well. And I think I don't think that's not going to go away regardless of the current situation we're in. I think the drive to use technology is only going to grow. But the use of digital as a way of streamlining your business and making it more efficient and effective through processes or the manufacturing process. We often just think of digital as websites, but how businesses work and how they operate and how they use digital is changing incredibly quickly. So I think we need to consider digital impacts and the advantages across all the parts of our business, how we operate, how we get to our customers, how we stock our shelves, or how we get stock in from suppliers and the like. So it's absolutely vital, and hence the reason we've included digital in the new funding scheme, the Business Resilience and Sustainability Scheme. BRAS for short. It's a bit easier just to give it its acronym.
Okay, thank you, Alistair. And Candace, would you have anything to add to that, please?
Yeah, I was just going to say that we've had quite a few people that have used LINA looking at ways that they can expand their business using digital technologies. And it's definitely true that as years go on, they do expect that digital technologies were going to really take over in a big way eventually, but maybe that's perhaps been sped up by COVID-19. So I would probably say I would encourage you not to be scared, to try and see what there is out there. There's a lot of information and resources, and also if you are going to look at delivering your product online, it's also remembering that you can actually reach other markets rather than just your local market. So there's a lot of benefits perhaps that you could consider when you're looking into that. The LINA course specifically does look at how you can rearrange your circumstances, your business, and what sort of things you need to be brought together in order to achieve that. So we don't go overly into specifics. We do help you consider the areas that you might need to look at changing to adapt to that sort of model. So I would absolutely say that it's not something to be scared about, but something to give it a real go at if you can.
Thank you, Candace. That sounds like very positive and good advice there. Right, we've got another question here, and this is it's a question about the Phoenix Fund. First of all, would it be possible to share the details of the lead organisations for each town for these applications? And an example's given here that this person's business, which is a charity, might be interested in joining in with any partnership projects for Ellen Town Centre. Now, I believe perhaps Alistair, and I think that would be Alistair Rind. Would I be right in saying that might come in and answer that question?
Yep, well done. Yeah, so we will. So after this weekend, we will have a final list of the lead applications from each town. In Ellen, it's going to be the Ellen traders. So they will be leading the project in their town centre. And certainly, we're really keen for any business, any group, any organisation in any of the towns that are covered who want to get involved, can add value to any Phoenix Fund project to sort of get in touch with their lead. We have set up an email address so if the person from Ellen wants more information, then they can email phoenixfund@aberdeenshire.gov.uk, which is all one word, Phoenix Fund, and we can give further information, and we can signpost people to those who are leading the projects in their towns.
That's lovely. That's great, Alistair. Thanks for that. And again, the information we can put on the dedicated webpage as everything tonight that's been spoken about, and any links or suggestions and information, we will certainly share that on the website. Okay, there's a question here, and yeah, effectively, what can the council or partners support to build customer confidence as lockdown is eased? So, for example, is there an accreditation like the food hygiene certificates? So I think maybe first of all, I could maybe take in Louise with regards to the accreditation part of the question, Louise.
Hi, Mary. Thank you. Louise Cunningham from Environmental Health. At the moment, there is no accreditation scheme for being COVID secure or COVID ready, as some of the language that has been used as yet, but there has been ongoing discussions at Scottish Government level, of which COSLA have been feeding into from the local authority perspective, as it is seen as something that should be considered to try and increase that confidence as we reopen our economies and town centres. However, what we have been doing as a service, along with trading standards, is we have been proactively engaging with businesses ahead of their reopening as we move through the phases to ensure that they understand the requirements to open up safely and are being signposted to all of the guidance that will assist them to open up safely when they're permitted to do so. So all of that information is hosted on the Aberdeenshire Council website with links to other partners that can feed into more specific guidance, including the sector specific guidance that is regularly being published by Scottish Government. As soon as there is anything agreed, we will be sure to circulate that and promote it further.
Thank you, Louise. Now, I don't know if anybody else would like to come in with any other responses to the issue of building customer confidence as the lockdown is eased. You know, obviously that's from an environmental health point of view. Is there anything out there, any of the Alistairs or Candace would like to add to that?
Yeah, I could maybe chip in as a starter. I think that's a really important one from a number of angles. First of all, it clearly gives customers to the business confidence that the business is taking every step that they need to take. It also gives quite a bit of confidence to the staff that are working in that business that they're going to go into work and they'll be safe. And obviously every business has a huge responsibility for the health and safety of their staff. In fact, that's one of the from the sector guidance that's available from Scottish Government. The risk assessment and consultation with staff is one of the big things that businesses have got to do. But I think also as well, it gives a bit of comfort to the local communities, because clearly there's some anxiety in some of the communities about people maybe coming into their town that previously, for the last few months haven't been there. So if the business community's been seen to be taken as being absolutely bulletproof in the work that they're doing to be as safe and secure as possible, it may well ease some of the anxiety of communities as well. Bear in mind, communities are desperate to get their local businesses started again, but it is a difficult balancing act between keeping making sure everybody's comfortable with what businesses are up to.
Yeah, and I just wanted to add to that I think it's a good opportunity to communicate with your customers and reinforce the plans that you have in place for safety and hygiene. So many people might have noticed on TV adverts for the likes of Domino's, they're reminding their customers that they have certain hygiene measures in place, that they're doing contactless delivery, all of these sorts of things. And small businesses can make use of that sort of methods as well. They can promote the good things that they're doing, the things that they're doing to prevent any spread of disease or contamination or germs, through social media, through the ways that they communicate with their customers, or even an email to their customers saying, look, we're looking forward to welcoming you back. This is what we've put in place to make you safe. So sometimes it's about reassuring the customers about what they will be walking into to make them more comfortable on that journey to the store or to their service.
Thank you, Candace.
Mary, if I just come back,
yeah,
I
sure.
know there's been a bit of announcement of some national schemes around that as well. I think if I just saw something about, I think the AA have launched something today, and I'm pretty sure I saw something from Visit Britain as well that have launched. Now, how much of that is an accreditation as much as such, I'm not sure, but it certainly ties into the stuff that that Louise was mentioning earlier on, that if there is some sort of kite mark, for want of a better phrase, or some badge you can put on your door saying you've taken these steps and it's been looked at and judged to have taken the appropriate action, it is going to give comfort to customers, staff, and the local community, I would suggest.
Can I dip in on that quickly?
Please do, Alistair. Yeah, thank you.
So one of the aims of the Phoenix Fund is to give town centre wide confidence that town centres are safe and that businesses have taken the necessary steps. So I think a lot of towns will be looking to develop messaging and marketing that sort of says our town centres are safe, they're open, they're welcoming. We want customers back. That could include, if towns wanted to develop some sort of local branding or local kite mark type thing, that gave customers familiar logos or whatever from shop to shop, so that they could have the confidence that each premises has sort of thought through their safety measures. Then that's absolutely the sort of thing that could be funded through the Phoenix Fund projects.
Mary, I'm just frantically looking at a few things when we're there, and someone's pointing me in the direction of Visit Scotland. Have also got involved with the Visit Britain announcement. Clearly, all the tourism agencies and all on all the home nations work very closely together. So it made perfect sense that they offered a similar thing across the board. So that's pretty much hot off the press. So don't know a huge amount about it, but certainly it's a new UK-wide industry standard and consumer mark to provide confidence for visitors, communities, and tourism businesses. So all good, all good.
Okay, thanks, Alistair. And I'm just getting, as I say, messages hot off the press that we can actually share that link. And I think that's the same thing about the Visit Scotland partners with the national tourism bodies. And this is them launching their industry standards. So we do have information on that, and we do have the links. So we shall certainly share that with everybody. And again, it'll be on the website. So hopefully that will help. We have a few more questions, and I think, Alistair, don't relax too much. Alistair, read. There's a question with regards to the brass scheme, and this is one that would charities and social enterprises who are trading would be able to apply for the new brass scheme?
Well, the short answer to that is yes. The third sector is an absolutely vital part of the work which goes on in communities, both from a business point of view and a community point of view. So yes, and indeed we have one of the economic development staff works very, very closely with the third sector through the community economic development work. So we'd be happy to speak to you in a bit more detail about that.
That's fine, and the links are there. You'll see the screen there. So again, if you want to contact business support directly, then the staff, the helpful staff, are there that will be able to help you on that. Another sort of different type question here, but obviously just as relevant. And this one is from, in terms of this person's business reopening, what would be the advice given with respect to the use of toilet facilities, which is obviously a very vital and important part of any business opening up. And I think possibly Louise Cunningham, our environmental health rep, would be able to maybe deal with that one. Louise?
Hi, Mary. Yes, I can. We received the hospitality and tourism sector-specific guidance just a week ago now from Scottish Government, and unfortunately that section on toilets in that guidance refers to awaiting further scientific advice, which we don't yet have. So we are expecting that ahead of these opening dates that were indicated yesterday by the First Minister. As a bare minimum, people will have to expect significant additional cleaning of hand contact surfaces, such as door handles, taps, and any other high traffic areas. In addition to that, disposable paper towels are by far the best option for drying hands in circumstances. But before committing to anything significant, this guidance will be available as to how you can adapt existing cleaning schedules for your business to meet the demands of the guidance when it comes out, other than going as far as investing in non-hand operated taps, dryers and doors. Wouldn't commit to anything yet until that further guidance is available, and it will be shared through the channels for everyone to have a read of it themselves.
Thank you, Louise. Okay, we have someone else that's indicating that again, and I think we've had a similar question about giving confidence to businesses, but this one is someone else who's obviously very nervous about restarting, and what could the key things that they can do to reassure staff and customers that it's safe to do so. I don't know, Louise, I know that's possibly a trading standards type issue, but I don't know if you want to make some comments on that.
Making premises safe prior to reopening and throughout. There are checklists within the sector-specific guidance, but I would encourage any business with specific queries to contact us. We are here to advise and assist you to understand what this guidance means for your business and the best controls that can be put in place for your business. They can be tailored to your business so that they are proportionate to the scale and operation for that going forward. So to encourage anyone to get in touch with any specific queries they have. There's no requirement to notify us prior to reopening. However, we'd be happy to talk through your plans, risk assessment and COVID checks prior to doing so.
Thank you for that, Louise. I mean, I don't know, Candace, is there anything you'd want to add about that in terms of businesses restarting and insurance that customers are safe? Is there any other aspect of that you'd like to comment on?
Yeah, just reinforcing again to your customers, to your staff, via communication about what you're planning to put in place, what you have put in place. I think it's if you enforce that message, if you tell them, if you can communicate with them in various ways and over either social media or over email, or have conversations with your staff prior to that, then you are going to open those ways of communication where they can also share their concerns with you and vice versa. And I think in situations like this where personal health is obviously at vital importance, it's right at the top priority, that allows for that communication really to happen amongst businesses and business employees, business owners and of course customers. So I would probably, just as Louise said, obviously go and speak to the professionals that can give you that advice, but don't be afraid to communicate with those that are involved in your business about what your plans are, to reassure them.
Thank you, Candace. Okay, going on to the subject of marketing, and the query here is that marketing is not something this person spent much time on or have any skills in. It's nice to do when they have time, but they can see how important it is now in the current, or coming out of the current situation. And the question is there any top tips from the panel on marketing? So I can probably bring up a few people here. I'm seeing Candace nodding. Perhaps you would like to start that one, Candace. Thank you.
I happen to, I used to work in marketing. So yeah, and with LINA, what we encourage people to do is look at the customers that they're targeting. So who are your customers? What sort of age group are they? How much money do they have to spend? Where do they live? How far are they coming to travel to get to your business? And when you consider these aspects of customers, it's much easier to find messaging and even graphics to target those customers properly. And that means you're communicating with the right people at the right time in the best way possible. I think a lot of businesses will agree, as that person said, that marketing is really important. And often when you own a business, you are doing everything. You are, you're the accountant, you're the person on the front, you're the person in the back, you're doing everything. So marketing can kind of slide to the wayside. But there's lots of advice out there. I know that Business Gateway also have lots of practical videos and support that basically talk you through various specific practical elements of marketing and how to use social media or how to other different various options, local publications, etc., to try and get your messaging out there. But definitely, if you think about your customers first and what they need from you, then you're in a better position to market to them more effectively.
Thank you, Candace. Anyone else like to come in on that one about marketing and any tips?
Yes, it's the older Alistair here. I can only agree completely with what Candace was saying there. Understanding who your customer is and what they want and what ticks their boxes, and what's on trend and things like that. It's absolutely vital to understand that. And if you're not sure, ask your customers. Just when some people come into you, speak to them about your business. Oh, I'm thinking about trying to do, I've got another idea. How do you think that would go? Most people will be quite happy to tell you, give you an opinion and give you some tips. Social media has just got a life of its own nowadays. If you even just go back a few years, you got to your customers by advertising on the newspaper or the radio or something. That's just all gone now. So having a decent social media profile is so important these days, particularly if you've got followers, because you can get your message directly to people who like what you do or like your product or buy from you at the moment. And I would say that's an area to look at. And again, just to mention Business Gateway, that's what they're there for, to provide support to businesses through workshops. I mentioned earlier on, all the workshops are now online, so you can dip in and out of them at a time that suits you. They have a lot of help guides on their website, and just dip in and see what there is. Pick and mix type approach. Find something that suits you. Find something that suits your product, and but understanding who your customer is, what they want, and where they are is absolutely vital.
Candace, I'm going to take you back in here. There's a question here directed to LINA, and it's basically, can you help people who are on furlough or unemployed?
Yeah, absolutely. So even before COVID-19, we had people use the LINA services who were considering looking into self-employment. So that was one option. But I think the great thing about the programme is it looks at how businesses operate. And I think it's very helpful for people who are looking to be employed to understand the functionality of businesses and how all these bits and pieces come together. So if you are on furlough, you're more than welcome to have a look at the website and see if you can download the course materials and get involved. You can get in touch with myself, or as my contact details are on the website there. But there's definitely a wealth of information, and I think a lot of the tools for LINA, they're not just for small businesses, they're from all different sizes of businesses. There are big brands that use these cutting edge tools, such as your business model canvas, your value proposition. It gets you thinking about what you could be doing as a business owner, but it also gets you thinking about how your behaviour as an employee affects the success of a business. So I'd absolutely say it's worth having a look at and seeing if there's something there that you can really grab onto and use to the most benefit.
And that's someone indicating that they've got a very small business working from home, making cakes. And these have been very popular during the lockdown. And basically they're looking to see how they can take the next step to scale this up. Is there any advice out there? Candace, perhaps? I'll take you in first.
Yeah, so I was just going to say, it's looking into potentially other ways that you can, other customers, I think, other customer segments. So right now it might be business to consumer. There's people maybe at home who who want basically a break from baking or cooking, especially if there's an event, they want someone to do that for them. And so you've been getting a lot of orders, and we've actually had many people in that sort of environment have that sort of conversations with us, and that's their concern. So what we've been asking people to do is for a start, learn from what's been happening, what's been popular, what's not, and anticipate the move. Ask your customers what they want from you in future. Don't be afraid to ask them these questions, get their information, get their viewpoint on your business, and also consider other target audience groups. So for instance, I just briefly mentioned business to business. There might be something there that you could do. You could supply certain things for other bigger cake makers or other big fulfillment companies, or working in the food and drink agency. So there's a lot of different things that you can do to mitigate that risk. But it's unfortunate that, of course, in situations like this, we do see massive spikes and massive drops. But definitely business planning, you can look at contingencies, and the communication that you have made with your customers, you've likely actually gained new customers in this specific scenario. So look at how you can communicate with them in future and build those relationships up, and you just don't know where that could take you.
Okay, thank you. That is all our questions at the moment. So it remains for me to thank you to our presenters and panel who all had their work cut out tonight. Alistair Reid, Alistair Ryan, Candace Elson, thank you for that, and Louise Cunningham, thank you for coming in, answering some questions and giving very useful information as well. I would remind you as well for future webinars, if you could give us some feedback, and there will be a Survey Monkey sent out after this webinar, really to gauge your views and any ideas and information that you like to see in the future. So it just remains for me to thank you all for participating this evening. It is very, very much appreciated, your attendance and interest, and we hope that you found the event beneficial to you. And again, I will promote the website again that has all the information on it, and any new information and guidance that's coming in, which seems to be on a daily basis at the moment, again that will be updated to the webpage. So I'd like to thank you all, and hopefully you can go and enjoy the sunshine and have a pleasant evening. Thank you very much. Good night.